Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. Friendly reminder, first of all, that we have French and Arabic interpretation, so you can follow the instructions that Bukola shared in the chat to be able to hear in the language that you prefer. My name is Rocío Aravena. I am the liaison with Latin America and the Caribbean region from the Let's Connect team. I will introduce a little bit our session. Today we are having our second cross-regional Let's Connect grantee partner learning clinic conversation. Today we will be with Wikimedia Community User Group Malta, Wikimedia Morocco, and Wikimedia Canada. So first of all, thank you very much to our sharers, Toni, Luis, Reda, and Mounir. I am very excited about this learning clinic. We will be facilitating this session with Veronica, Agnes, and Farida. So thank you very much to all of you. And from the Let's Connect team, Anthony, Bukola, and myself. Next slide, please. So there you can see our great sharers that will be with us today. I want to make a very brief review of our Let's Connect culture. Next slide, please. Let's Connect is a peer learning program. So we are here in a safe space for sharing, but also for learning. So any question, comments, or experience that you want to share with us is absolutely welcome. So feel free to use the chat and all the other channels that we will be sharing with you today. Regarding the specific purpose of our learning clinic, the main outcome today, next slide, please, Anthony. The main learning outcome today is to learn about the grantees' work. We will focus on the lessons, opportunities, and of course, the challenges. So the idea is to understand their experience in achieving impact outcomes. You will be able to ask some questions to the sharer and to share your own experience in this topic. So maybe we can review the agenda. We will start with the brief introduction to the Let's Connect team, to the Let's Connect program. Then Veronica will give a background context of the learning session. We will have, as usual, our icebreaker to start feeling confident. And then we will go through the case study number 1 with the Wikimedia Community User Group Malta, the case study number 2 with the Wikimedia Malta User Group, and the case study number 3 with Wikimedia Canada. Then we will have 20 minutes of Q&A, 15-minute group reflection, and finally the closure that will be happening in 10 minutes. So I will give the mic to Veronica now, if she wants to give us a brief background context of this learning session. So thank you very much to all of you for being here today.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to be in this learning session or learning clinic. Just a little bit of the vision on the Learning Clinic is an year or 2 years now, we've had the opportunity as community resources, specifically like the grants of officers, program officers, in working closely with grantee partners to hear from them about the experiences they're having, the opportunities they're seeing, observing, tapping into, and the challenges they're experiencing. And with time, we felt that these conversations didn't need to just be for grantee partners and program officers. They needed to be shared with others. And we started with other grantee partners, and later with time recognized that there was a lot of wisdom being shared amongst grantee partners that would benefit others who are not necessarily within that space. Hence the opportunity of what would it look like if we open this up to other community members who the learnings, the tools, the experiences, the wisdom, the knowledge would be equally beneficial for their work. Hence the idea of let's leverage the fantastic, robust platform that Let's Connect as a community is, and offer these learnings with other community members. And for this session, we have the Malta Community User Group, Morocco User Group as well, and Wikimedia Canada. And with each one of them and having, known a lot and a little about their work, felt that they do have some best practices, a lot of tools, others just having rich experiences that would benefit some of the other community members we work with, either through Rapid Funds or either through General Support Fund as well, but across different regions. So we do hope that this will be a useful space for everyone who's created the time to be with us today, and hoping to hear from you. If you have any questions, there will be a retro board shared where you can put in your questions, but at the very end, we will also take a moment to go deeper on any curiosities, clarifications, or questions you hold or have. Yeah, thank you so much. And I am joined by my colleagues here, Agnes from Northwestern Europe, Farida, Mercedes. I think Mercedes may be able to join at some point. So yes, she's here. So anything that, as we continue to listen, that you're like, oh, I would love to explore that with my program officer, this is the space. Note it down and let's take it beyond the call. Back to you, Rosie.
Thank you very much, Veronica, for this background. And thank you very much for being here. I will pass the mic to Anthony.
Thank you, Veronica, and thank you, Rosha. So before we dive in to the session, let's have some fun answering this question on the retro board. So the link will also be shared in the chat, and you may also answer through the chat or through the easy retro board. So the question to answer is, what's your best childhood memory? So it may be in your neighborhood, school, or even a random encounter with a friend, a family member, or a pet. So we have 5 minutes to answer.
Okay. I see there is a comment already, playing with other kids near the beach. Well, that's interesting to know. And also watching my grandmother pick tomatoes in the fields. Wow. These are really sweet memories. And there's also making terrariums with my mom when we were on vacation in the summer. This is a really great childhood memory, and for you to remember, I believe this holds like a very dear memory in your heart. And maybe one of the childhood memory that I can remember is that I don't get to do anything when I was when I was much younger. You know, you get to see people, your mom, your brothers helping you do most of the things. You don't have to worry about what tomorrow holds. You just have to eat, relax. You get people always there to support you through different things, right? Yeah, so I think for me, that's a whole lot of childhood memory I don't want to forget. I wish I could go back to sometimes, you know. And there are also some interesting memories here, playing football and walking barefooted to school. Yeah, because uh, it would really be funny if walking barefooted. I mean to work, if not school, at this time. So those memories are really great memories. And also there's this comment that says the smell of farm animals at my grandparents' home. Wow, I want to believe that's from Cassie because I see she dropped a comment in the chat as well. Listening to my grandmother telling stories made up by her to me and all my cousins. I wonder if you could remember any of the stories she told. That would be nice to hear. And there's also a comment about eating breakfast at bed with my parents on Sundays. These are really sweet memories. And my current football team colleagues reminding me that they used to take me to primary school years back. Wow. That's funny. Uh, and there's also that very interesting memory about playing with sand. Wow. And the smell. Those are really nice memories that we can't go back to. Not at this stage, right? And there's also the comments about being able to draw a cat that made me be taken to the next class. Wow. That's interesting. Okay, there's also a comment in French. I want to believe that's also like a very interesting memory. Sorry, I will not be the perfect person to read that out loud right now. However, I just like what I said, these memories are so dear to us. Okay, Cassie, you want to say something? Yeah.
I was gonna ask if Anas can translate it for us. I mean, not Anas, Jana.
Cool.
The view of my town.
Sorry, did you say something, Rocio?
No, I was saying that it's something like the view of her town.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's also a nice memory.
Like,
Like
it's
maybe getting, yeah.
I
Yeah,
wasn't.
so
Jana, were you done talking? Or yes, we can hear you. Can everyone hear Jana? Because I was listening to her translate the French comment.
oh, sorry, I can't.
I can hear you, Jana. Can you say it one more time?
There is a translation in the Easy Retro. Translation is visiting my natal village and my brother refused to sleep in the hut because only goats will sleep there. And there is another comment which says, playing at my beach with my cousins, a lot of good memories.
Thank you, Jana. Thank you for translating for us. Rocio, can you hear Jana when she was speaking?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry for the mix-up, everyone. We will move on.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Junior, for translating. And that was really a great icebreaker. And now I'll pass it back to Rocio. Thank you.
So much for your answer. So now we will start the learning clinic properly with the first showcase, which is from our first program, Wikimedia Community User Group Malta. So Toni, if you are here, we can start directly with your presentation. In the chat, you have the link to the presentation of the Wikimedia Community Malta. The presentation is translated into French and Arabic. So if you go to the end of the presentation, you will find the different languages. So thank you very much, Toni, for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us. We're really glad to be here. I think if we go to our next slide, you will see right away that although I am the one speaking, we are three presenters. I am joined by our program coordinator, Enrique Tobone, and our president, Neville Borg. But I will be doing most of the speaking, and so this is why you're seeing me. But we prepared all this together. So if we go to the next slide, we'll see that we are addressing the four questions that were given to us as prompts. The first one is, which outcomes do you so far hold the greatest significance to your organization? And why is it particularly noteworthy or impactful? I should say that out of the four questions, perhaps this is the one I'll be speaking about the longest, but perhaps not so much. We'll see how it goes, because this is the bulk of what we've been up to, at least in the first half of the funded year. So if we go to the next slide, we start with looking what our goals and objectives, mainly for 2024, are. I mean, these are broader goals and objectives for us, but specifically, we were looking to general community engagement through editor and contributor retention, engaging with the Maltese language Wikipedia towards growth of this language Wikipedia, which is currently at somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 articles in the Maltese language. The third goal and objective is broadening awareness of Wikimedia platforms in Malta. And the fourth one is encouraging institutional engagement with open knowledge. Of course, if we go to the next slide, we'll see that we did this through some key initiatives. The first of this, of course, was our annual photo and article writing contests, and I'll be speaking a little bit about these at some more length. Also, local outreach activities outside of the photo and article writing contests, but also, and this is more perhaps in the second part, so we'll speak less about it today, the idea of developing an international profile. And today's event is actually this gathering, this activity is one such thing, but I'm also, of course, referring to things like Wikimania and our involvement in the CEE hub. Let's go to the next slide then and look at what specifically we mean by the annual photo and article writing contests in the first 6 months. During the wintertime, we had Wiki Loves Folklore. Then we moved into the CEE Spring Writing Contest. And eventually, as we moved into the summer, we started Wiki Loves Earth, which has now ended even beyond the first half of the year. Let's look at some details on this. So here you'll see our general metrics, if you will, for how we've arrived to Wiki Loves Folklore where we are. We've been doing related activities since 2018, starting out with art and feminism, moving to feminism and folklore in around 2022, which is when we also introduced the photo contest. And you can see how the Commons uploads marked in red there kind of grew in number naturally. In fact, when we look at the next slide, you'll see that if we focus specifically on Wiki Loves Folklore, there's a sense of growth here in the number of quality images that we're getting relating to photos of folklore, but without overlooking the gender gap and still addressing the gender gap in other ways, but perhaps shifting the focus a little bit here in this case. Further on, if we go to the next slide, we'll see, you know, how this has been received even with some attention within Malta. This is the newspaper of record in Malta, the Times of Malta, which even published the top 10 images from our Wiki Loves Folklore, as you can see here. This is something we'll come back to because we have a Wikimedian in residence arrangement with the Times of Malta even. So if we go to the next slide, we'll see that we received around the same time coverage for what was related to raising the profile of the organization and of the Wikimedia projects through placing 11th in the global Wiki Loves monuments with this image. This was announced at around the time that Wiki Loves Folklore was going on, and this image, some of you who perhaps were at Wikimania will have seen on screens all the time in between session as one of the images shown there. So anyway, going back to this idea of engagement with Wiki Loves Earth, the focus shifts from the number of uploads to the number of new users. So this is about recruiting new contributors. And again, here we see that the number of new users is significant in that it is at least at about half of our uploaders year on year are new users. Of course, we expect this number to start decreasing because there's only so many you can have, and at the same time, we want to retain some of the users that we recruit. If we look at perhaps, you know, the other event that we did in the next slide, which is the CEE Spring. Here, perhaps, you know, it's a little something that's more involved because it involves article writing. And perhaps here we don't necessarily have a success story or an impact to report just yet, except the consistency of going on with this and keeping this going and looking at the grand totals of how many new articles in the Maltese language Wikipedia have been created. And that is quite a substantial number when you consider that there are fewer than 7,000 articles in the Maltese language Wikipedia. And how many articles in other languages and other language Wikipedias have been written thanks to CEE Spring about Maltese subjects. This brings us to close this up, even this part, in terms of outreach. And here we particularly have two things. I'm happy that the friends from Morocco are here. Salam alaikum. We had a fantastic collaboration with them in the first part of the year. We'll talk about this a little more in a minute, and I'm sure that they will also mention it because this is a shared success. And also the development of an education program with the University of Malta. So looking at the next slide, we see here that this came from a presentation that I gave at Wiki Indaba at the end of last year, at the end of 2023, inviting affiliates and Wikimedians across Africa to look at us as a way to bridge into Europe. And the host in Morocco took us up right away on this. And if we go to the next slide, we can see this wonderful graphic we have here, thanks to Mounir, who I'm sure will speak about this a little bit later, in terms of the articles that we picked. So we picked 10 articles from each group. So 10 are about Malta, 10 are about Morocco, and we had these translated for the most part from English, but sometimes from Arabic or from French, and a little bit from Spanish as well, into our respective language Wikipedias. On to the next slide, please. We're kind of concluding on this question. Essentially, you can see here how noteworthy or impactful perhaps we see, and if this being with Wiki Loves Folklore, we have more images being uploaded, whereas with Wiki Loves Earth, we're looking at having more than half of the contributors be new users. But at the same time, developing this education program through feminism and folklore, which we'll talk about in a different context with one of the questions, which is why I didn't elaborate about it so much. Again, going beyond the CE Spring with article writing, with this collaboration with our friends in Morocco. And for us, the noteworthy thing, at least nationally, it was this success relative success of the 11th place. We still haven't made top 10 yet with Wiki Loves Monuments. So on to the next question, which is, what challenges have you been facing in the first half of your project, and how have you adapted strategies and innovated to overcome them? Before I get into this, I would like to invite Neville and Enrique to jump in if you feel at any point you need to. Just I will hear your voice, and I will yield, of course. So if we go to the next slide, we'll see that we have quite a bit of a challenge with an ongoing legal threat. We have a Maltese writer who had the English language Wikipedia article about him deleted, not by us, but this person has been harassing me personally since December 2022. We have been receiving support from the Foundation's legal team since December 2023, and this is ongoing. There's email correspondence even within the last 24 hours relating to this case. Unfortunately, it's not likely to stop without third-party intervention or legal action, legal action from his part, third-party intervention that we perhaps organize to bring this to some kind of a close. It's a complicated thing, mostly because he refuses to accept conflict of interest editing. He wants to edit his own page and create his own page and the rest of it. And also there's some discussion about notability. And again, understanding the concept of notability, as we know, can be challenging for some individuals. So aside from this, if we go to the next slide, we see that there's also, we see as a challenge the Wikimedia in residence I mentioned earlier with the newspaper of record, which is the Times of Malta. And in as much as things perhaps are moving significantly more slowly than we expect them to, these things included, for example, we were looking at adding a paywalled article archive to the Wikipedia library, or ingesting thousands of notable photos, digitized news images in this case, and this hasn't happened yet. I think there's a mistake here. The archive needed to be in the second bullet point, not the third. It moved. Sorry, we didn't see that earlier. And engaging journalists and contributors for the newspaper beyond our Wiki Loves contests. One or two of them take part in our Wiki Loves contests, but not much else happens beyond that. We are only heartened by speaking to other Wikimedians in residence and speaking to other organizers of Wikimedia in residence programs that it is almost always very much slower than expected with these kinds of programs.
Can I jump in here?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I'm in a little bit of a funny situation here because I work with the Times of Malta, but I'm also obviously involved with Wikimedia Community Malta. So I have kind of a foot in both camps. And I think a lot of the problems we've faced in setting up this Wikimedian in residence is related to kind of a misunderstanding from Times of Malta's side as to what a Wikimedian in residence program actually is and how it functions on a day-to-day basis. I think Toni has done a really good job in engaging with them and in keeping up consistent engagement, consistent reminders, consistently reaching out to them to get this project moving. But then there are also logistical issues from the other end in terms of dedicating resources, particularly time, to managing this project. So I think this very much fits into this part of the presentation, which is about challenges, because I think it's a project that potentially could be very, very rewarding, because even the archival resources that the Times of Malta has are unmatched in Malta. But it is an ongoing challenge and kind of a slow process that I'm confident we will manage to overcome in the long term, but something that needs kind of consistent work and chipping away.
Oh, sorry, Neville.
No, I was just going to say chipping away kind of at the institutional frame of the Times of Malta, which is also kind of a historic organization. It's quite slow moving. It's not a young, dynamic media organization. It's something that's more kind of rooted within kind of Maltese historical, kind of dynamics, I suppose.
The footnote I was going to put in on all this is that we should say that we got into this arrangement with this news organization before you started working.
Yes.
And we should also say that your role is not an executive one. You are a fact checker with this news.
Yes, yeah, I'm a regular journalist. Yeah.
Okay, so we can continue with the next slide in the interest of time. Thanks, Neville, for that. And this relates to establishing another challenge is how we've presented establishing an education program at the University of Malta. We've done quite a bit of work with the MA in translation studies, and some of this work we discovered recently was presented at a conference in Bari in southern Italy. The MA in gender studies is something we started working with this year. And last year, we also had an online course in Wikipedia and Wikidata editing. But the challenge is for us to kind of make this a bit more coherent and making sure also that the professors at the university understand what we're really about and what's going on and how things work. And that is a challenge in itself. This is perhaps a smaller challenge in that this is a work-a-day challenge for us Wikimedians. We kind of know how to deal with this stuff, but it just takes time and perseverance. And so if we go to the final slide for this section, oh, sorry, before I go to the final slide for this section, no, we could stay on the next slide. I thought there was another slide. There's also more that we're also doing as part of this education program at the University of Malta. And this is a project that Enrique has worked on very, very intensely to get started. And we have engagement through the junior college library here because it is a collaboration with the assistant librarian at this library of the University of Malta. And it's a new GLAM project. There's the Wikidata number for it. It's called Casini, which is about community band clubs. Enrique, I don't know if you wanted to say a little bit about this. I don't want to put you on the spot, but perhaps this would be a good moment for you to speak about this.
No, basically, this is something that is helping us in the next stage as well, with also reaching with the community. So it started with this engagement with the assistant librarian from the junior college library. And now that we created Wikidata for most of the community band clubs, just to give you a rough idea, there are around 93 in a small island. And so there's a lot of people interested from communities in this project as well. So the next stage, it will be this community engagement. So this project, it's just a start here at the moment. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
watch out for a presentation.
For the next steps.
in the coming year, probably. We're likely going to launch it publicly. Yes, thank you for letting me know. There's 1 minute left. Probably launch it publicly in November. Let's move on. So to conclude here with the next slide, the point was that patience, perseverance, and practical application, that is to say, making the best of the situation, is how we attempt to overcome our challenges. So if we go to the next slide, this brings us to the third question, and this we can go through rather quickly these last two. I know I have just a minute left. So is there any issue or concern that you would like to share or discuss with us? And in the next slide, we see them here. This is the one slide we have. I mean, it's finding the balance between longevity and being pulled down by administrative burdens, in terms of organizing the things we mentioned earlier. Isolation, because Malta is a small island, and networking as we do, and as you've heard some of the things that we've mentioned already, but also continuity versus longer term planning, and perhaps we can discuss this a little later. So coming to the final question then, do you foresee specific types of support or resources lacking to achieve your intended outcome more effectively? Again, in one slide, which is this final slide, we have an employee for 1 day a week. So our main intended outcome is to grow the Maltese language Wikipedia in every sense, through images and through Wikidata, of course, as well. But perhaps we need more than 1 day for our employee. We need to focus on recruiting and retaining our volunteers. But also time, of course, is the key resource, if not tools to grow a small language Wikipedia. So that's it from us. Merci bien. Shukran. Thank you. Grazie.
But Toni and Neville, for your presentation, we have some question in the retro board. We will keep this question to the Q&A part of this session. So now we will move on with Morocco presentation, Wikimedia Morocco. So if you are there, Reda and Mounir, you can start. And yes, remember that you can keep asking questions using the retro board, and we will take your question during the Q&A part.
Sure.
So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for putting this together, and for having this interesting conversation with our colleagues from Malta and from Canada, and also having everyone here to share the insights and also perspectives on how we can work together and also develop our work as a community. So I will be speaking on behalf of Wikimedia Morocco, and together with my colleague Mounir, on our approaches, our impact, our challenges, and also how we have evolved from a small community to a more organized user group with staff and also with more targeted programs. So to begin with, next slide, please. We have joined officially the movement in 2015, and when we were officially recognized as an affiliate. And we will be turning next month our 9th year within the community. And our main objective or mission was to promote free knowledge in Morocco, specifically using Wikimedia platforms. So our aim initially was to bring together volunteers and contributors who are doing online work into a common space in which they can do targeted work, work together on projects, and then we can have more impact. So hence we have diversified our activities to focus on education, for example, and also to have a team or a group of volunteers working on technical projects, for example, Wikidata, and more recently on abstract Wikipedia. And we have also other ones who are working on communication and outreach specifically, other ones who are working on documentation to bridge the knowledge gap and also improve the coverage on Wikimedia platforms such as Commons. And also we try to have different workshops and contests in different places to facilitate the collaboration between our group members, and also to encourage partnerships and also collaboration with other stakeholders who might best fit in our mission. So that's why we have brought together a group of stakeholders who either helped us in activities and also when it comes to organizing conferences. So we hosted two original conferences, Wiki Arabia and Wiki Indaba, and we understand that conference participation is crucial to share knowledge and also to get insights from other committee members. Next slide, please. So from our establishment in 2015 to recently, we have, as I mentioned, we have expanded and grown step by step. So in the four initial years, so between 2015 and 2019, we relied mainly on volunteer activities, sometimes on rapid grants to have, for example, Wiki Loves contests and have workshops and so on. But when we have organized Wiki Arabia in Marrakesh, then this was our biggest event and also biggest opportunity to bring together the Moroccan community together, because people live in different places and also they didn't have this opportunity to interact with other member of the movement. So this was the opportunity in which people knew about how to work together, and also the opportunity and the benefit to work under a more organized group. So based on this experience, we have brought together members interested in our work, and we have identified few areas in which we could step in. So, for example, online workshops for skills building, and also education, which was for us a space that we could have a much impact, and this brought us to be one of the three pilot countries to implement the reading Wikipedia in the classroom. And this was for us also an opportunity to open up to other new audiences. And by opening up to new audiences, then we could have the opportunity to bring people who are not used to work within Wikimedia platforms, but also to change their perception on Wikipedia, because they were mainly users and they did not know about what was behind. And by focusing on education, we could see an area that would facilitate for us our approach, and also to achieve our mission, which was to expand the knowledge via these digital platforms. And we also supported languages, local languages in Morocco. So now we have, for example, two local Wikipedias in Moroccan languages, and we have also other projects in the incubator. And we also hosted different kind of events, also strategy salons during the movement strategy discussions, and as I mentioned, training sessions here and there. And finally, last year we organized the Wiki Indaba, which was the opportunity to bring together the African community and was also an interesting experience to build together as a community this conference, because we wanted to have more a larger volunteer base that can assist, and also get more skills and capacities in organization, because we want to have more people involved in the organization of event that would also help us as a group to evolve. And when it comes to grants, as I mentioned, we have relied initially on rapid grants, and then with Reading Wikipedia in the Classroom, it was our first annual grant. So it was mainly on education and specifically on Reading Wikipedia in the Classroom. And the following year, we have tried to diversify our activities. So we have created diverse teams that would work within our group, and we have recruited part-time staff, and also under the coordination of a full-time employee who is overseeing the whole organization. And next slide, please. So for this year, we have focused specifically on the area of communication and outreach. We wanted to have more social media engagement with the online audience, and also to improve our contacts and connection with our community. So it was through the podcast series. So this is the second edition of the podcast series. So every month we are hosting a different guest, and we want to hear their experiences, and also share their experiences with our audience, and also to encourage everyone or at least listeners to follow the approach that the guest is explaining or is presenting. And also more recently, we have created a newsletter for our community, and also for our partners. So this would highlight the main activities during that month, and also what were the key achievements, and also the opportunities for volunteering and for participation. So this was our key achievement in this area of communication and outreach. And second, in the area of or what we call the technical project, is the aim is to improve content related to Morocco technically. So it could be via the development of bots, automation programs, and so on. And we've hired two new members who have joined this team, and the aim also is to strengthen the capacities of our group. So we do host workshops and online trainings. So and also we want to develop this capacity because we have actually, since in Daba, we have noted that there is an interest in having hackathons regularly within our community, and we see this as an opportunity to develop the skills and build a community that could fit in this space. Next, please. And when it comes to education, we are now in the fourth iteration of Wikipedia in the Classroom. So which is targeting particularly middle school teachers, and we do train this teacher via the Wikilearn platform during a period of 4 months, and at the end of this period, what we call the education workshop is kind of a graduation ceremony, but it is for the top performing teachers who are brought together to develop a curriculum or course material that includes Wikipedia. And also we also encourage them to make contribution on Wikipedia and other platforms. And year after year, we see an interest, and teachers who are participating in 1 year, they encourage their fellow colleagues to join in the next edition, and we see enthusiasm in this project. And the last area that we are focusing on is the documentation. This is important for us because we want to improve the coverage on comments particularly. We are focusing specifically on remote areas to document them visually, and also via audio recording for languages. And we also use the opportunity of photo contests that would fit in this project. And also we have launched micro grants for our group members to encourage them to go to these undocumented areas and do this documentation, and also taking photographs of these areas that needs or need illustration on Wikipedia articles. Next, please. So when it comes to workshops and events that we have hosted this year, as I mentioned earlier, we have tried to diversify both the audience and also the thematic. So for example, when it comes to education and this event that brought together top performing teachers, we have been able to have more than 150 edits for this 3-day event, and also article created. And also we have hosted a workshop solely dedicated on the Amazigh Wikipedia, which is a language spoken in Morocco, widely spoken in Morocco, and it was in the area of Agadir, where there is a lot of people who speaks this language. And also, lastly, we have hosted a photo walk with an organization in Casablanca with the aim of documenting historical sites. Next, please. And also, we have also joined international campaigns. For example, we have joined the Afro Creative contest. So we have called it the Moroccan Cinema Editing Contest. And it was also an opportunity to create content specifically to this area. And also we have launched a contest on Moroccan Darija, or the Moroccan Wikipedia, the Moroccan Arabic Wikipedia. So this also was a huge success, and also we brought newbies, and also have made campaigns on social media to attract interested individuals who want to improve the content in the Moroccan Darija. And next we'll be having Wiki Loves Monument, which also will be for us a campaign. Actually, we will be joining this event because in the last 2 years we didn't join the campaign, but we see this here again, an opportunity to document cultural heritage sites and so on. And now I will leave the floor to my colleague Mounir, who will take you over the rest of the slide.
Yep. Thank you, Reda. So I'll continue with the rest of the slides. Yeah, so concerning our partnerships and collaborations, our main partner is Reading Network in Morocco, which is an association that has many branches in the largest Moroccan cities, and it's also our fiscal sponsor. And this is a long-term collaboration, which has been very fruitful, because also some members of the Reading Network also members of Wikimedia Morocco, which facilitates our collaboration. Next are Casa Mémoire and Association for Protection and Promotion of Moroccan Heritage. These were relatively short-term collaborations that we had, mainly within the documentation project, but they are also potentially fruitful in the sense that we could reinitiate contact and organize other events, whether within the documentation project, such as photo walks that Reda has mentioned, or editing contests and other events. Within the educational program, or the reading Wikipedia in the classroom. Yeah, thank you. 5 minutes. So we had a collaboration with the regional delegation for education and training in Hajj, where training for the in-person training was organized with the teachers. And last but not least, as Toni has already mentioned, and he also showed the results of the first editathon we had with Wikimedia Malta. And we are also right now in the second editathon, which is ongoing, and we hope that there will be more such editathons, and that we will also be able to expand the collaboration to other Wikimedia chapters and user groups together with Malta. Next slide, please. Right. In terms of international participation, so within the last few years, our members have been to several Wikimedia events. But focusing on this year, so we had 2 members who were at Wikimedia Hackathon in Estonia, as well as the AI Sauna, which took place in Helsinki in Finland. Also, 3 of our members from the Wikimedia Wikipedia in Moroccan Arabic joined the 8th International Conference on Moroccan Darija, also known as Moroccan Arabic, at the University of Navarra in Spain, where we had the opportunity to present Wikimedia projects related to Moroccan Darija, such as Wikipedia and the Wiktionary, which is still in the incubator. And we initiated potential collaborations with researchers in this area. Next, 3 of our members were in Poland at Wikimedia. Were able to attend sessions and also work on some projects within the Wikimedia Hackathon. Next, please. Concerning the organizational growth of our community, so we were able to recruit or hire like 3 new members, 1 in the communication team and 2 new ones in the technical team, mainly to manage the project and take care of the organizational aspects of the technical project, which are not easy to do for volunteers, given the fact that they usually don't have enough time to focus on the management and prefer to focus more on the technical aspects. We had a structured and very transparent hiring process. We made announcements in LinkedIn, for example, and other social platforms to get candidates, and we conducted technical tests, for example, for the technical roles. We had interviews and so on. So it was a hiring process, just as you would find in any institution or a company. And we learned a lot from this process. Can you please go on to the next slide? So in terms of challenges and learnings from this year and the previous years, first is in terms of the limited resources. We have to prioritize and like basically on the added value of the different tasks and projects. And this is not always easy. Sometimes you only you have to make the mistake in order to learn. So you first have to choose a project, go through the whole process, and then you realize that maybe this was not the best choice. But then for the next time, you learn to do it better. Also, in terms of balancing volunteering versus professional contributions, so we have to make sure that we give the right tasks to different people. And make sure we don't hire for a position that somebody can do basically as a volunteer. And one important lesson was also in terms of community feedback. So we learned a lot this year from the feedback we got from our colleagues, and we were able to adapt and develop the way we manage the the group through this feedback. In terms of future plans, so one important point is definitely that we want to expand. We want to do more with the projects that are successful right now, acquire new partnerships, enhance our cross-language collaboration. So as mentioned, we are happy with the collaboration with Malta. We would definitely want to continue in the next years and further. But also we would definitely want to expand into other collaborations with other user groups, other languages. We want to organize more targeted contests, so to essentially improve specific metrics that we consider to be more important. So we learned a lot from the contests that we had. For example, this year we had two contests in the Moroccan Arabic, and the first one was relatively successful, but the second one was even more successful based on the learnings that we got from the first one. And we plan to organize a third one this year as well. And the same thing for the workshops and editathons. So also locations are very important in terms of the workshop, for example, that was in Agadir. We noticed how active and enthusiastic the community there is for working on the Amazigh Wikipedia, and definitely we would want to organize other workshops in that location. And in terms of the developing technical our capabilities, we are exploring many ideas to be able to get more volunteers and more people, especially in the universities, who are more interested in technical aspects of the Wikimedia movement, who would be able to join. And for sure, we would like to continue participating in conferences, because there are many things we learn at those events, and we are able to meet friends and collaborators and exchange knowledge, just like in this meeting. So thank you very much. I think this is the last one. Yeah, that's the last slide. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Mounir. Thank you to Wikimedia Morocco and Wikimedia community user group from Malta. You have been doing a great job. I see that there are a lot of questions in our retro board. So it's a good idea to stop for a little bit. And it will be great if each of you, Mounir, and Toni, pick just one or two questions that you would like to address for 5 minutes. So I will copy the link again so you can see the question that you have. Maybe we can start directly with Wikimedia Morocco. If you want to pick one of the 4 questions that the participants have asked you.
I think maybe Reda or myself can answer the third question in terms of organizational growth, perhaps, if Reda doesn't mind.
Great.
Yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So the question is, in speaking of organizational growth and expansion, do you plan on growing from an organizational perspective in the next year? And so how do you plan on resourcing this growth? What kind of partnerships? Definitely we are planning to grow as a user group in the next years. And we are considering like options in terms of partnerships. We have there's a school in Morocco called 1337, which is it's a computer science or IT school, which has a certain unique approach to learning IT. And basically, the students are able to have more freedom to choose their curriculum. It's more hands-on approach of learning, and they have expressed their interest in collaboration in the past, and it would be very very advantageous, I think, for us and for them to seek more collaboration, especially as I mentioned that we want to grow on a technical aspects and essentially hire more volunteers who are more on the technical side than in the, for example, editing Wikipedia or adding content. Yes, and generally speaking, especially on the technical aspect, because that's basically the side that I'm mostly focused on within Wikimedia Morocco. We would want to organize mini hackathons in engineering schools and IT schools and institutes at the universities in order to, as I said, to grow in that direction. But similarly, in terms of editing Wikipedia and growing content in other Wikimedia projects, I think there's a lot of potential in collaboration with the institutes and universities, and we are essentially working on this at the moment, and we will be able to report on this further next year. And I'm very positive that we will have many positive things to report in the next year and the years after.
Thank you so
Mounir.
much. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mounir.
I will just respond to the 3 other questions and before giving the floor to colleagues from Malta. So for the first question on the evolution of the reading Wikipedia in the classroom, so the pilot version was mainly online using the Facebook education platform, and year after year we have changed our method. So it was through Zoom, and the third edition was balancing between the online and offline. And now we are focusing specifically on Wikilearn as it is the best fit platform that would facilitate this work. And also we're organizing the on-site activity with the top performing teachers. And when it comes to the future plans, there is an interest in having the 3 modules translated to the Amazigh language. So now we're seeing this as an opportunity to also maybe expand further this project. And we're still in very early stages on that. And we see this as an opportunity to develop the program. The second one on Wiki Indaba and the WISCOM, yeah, we definitely have supported the WISCOM committee and also this year's local organizing team in hosting Indaba when it comes to the material that we have, when it comes to also the knowledge that we have acquired, and also the learning that we have gained from hosting Indaba last year. And also we want to have this documented also for upcoming host of the conference. So it can be in the form of a package that will be given to the next host that would be easy for them to see what areas they have to cover and how to do so. And lastly, for the gender gap, actually per se we don't have a clear gender gap objective, but we are fully aware that we need to have clear gender balance within our group members and also in terms of the staff. So for example, this year out of the 3 people that we have hired, 2 of them were female, and one is taking care specifically on the area of the technical project. So we see that this also would encourage people or female members who have this technical capacity to take the lead in our group. And we want to develop this further when it comes to workshops and also events, to have more gender balance and also to reduce the content gap for females. So last year we have had the WikiGap event with the Swedish embassy, and now we have lost their contact, and we want to continue further on the same perspective.
Thank you very much, Reda, for your answer. So I saw that Toni has been answered some of the question in the retro board. So maybe, Toni, if you want to address one of the questions that is still unaddressed in the retro board, you can do it now for a few minutes. Thank you.
Sure. I mean, yeah, in the interest of time, I've put some answers in there. One of the questions that I haven't answered is a question that I think in the context of today is a really good one, which is what's the procedure for Wikimedia Malta working with Wikimedia affiliates and groups, for example, with CE Hub and with Wikimedia Morocco. I could tell you for the CE Hub, it started by us being interested in taking part in CE Spring. So that is to say, in getting involved in an activity. And then from the activity, things grew that way. This was before the pandemic. At the Wikimedia Summit, I simply attended a session from CEE before the CEE Hub was presented. And then I was nominated to be on the CEE steering committee, and I'm still a member of the CEE Hub steering committee. With Wikimedia Morocco, it was the opposite. You know, there was a call, a desire, if you will. And so you can see it's about networking. You know, as I mentioned in my presentation, I went to Wiki Ndaba in Agadir, which our colleagues at Wikimedia Morocco organized. And so, I mean, the fact that they approached us, and this is also in answer to the first question, is how we perform institutional engagement with open knowledge partners. In some cases, they come to us. In other cases, we go to them. So, you know, with the CE Hub, we went to them because we were interested in this activity that was the CE Spring. And in the case of, well, they came to us because we made ourselves available through Wiki Ndaba. And there are others. So most recently, for example, you know, we were at Wikimania, and we are in early discussions with collaborating with Wikimedia Sud Italia, which is a subgroup of Wikimedia Italia for the southern part of Italy and Sicily. I hope this answers that question. But did you want me to pick another one, or shall we stop here in the interest of time?
Maybe we can stop here, and then in the Q&A you can address the other questions.
Yeah. And
Thank you. I've great
written
responses,
quite a
Toni.
bit.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I've written quite a bit on the retro board, so you know, people can
Nice.
read. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toni. So yeah, we can move on with Wikimedia Canada now. So Louis will be sharing his presentation. There in the link, sorry, in the chat, you have the Wikimedia Canada slide translated into French and Arabic. We will be doing the same, so you can add your question in the retro board, and then we will ask the sharer to answer. So thank you, thank you, Louis.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, then thanks to the Let's Clinic team for the invitation. Also, thank you to Morocco and Malta for your very interesting presentation. I was very glad to hear about you today. So my name is Louis. I'm the Executive Director of Wikimedia Canada. Wikimedia Canada is an official chapter since 2010, but I'm the first paid employee in Wikimedia Canada only since the end of 2022, so almost 2 years now. And since my arrival at Wikimedia Canada, we are now 3 full-time paid employees. There's me as the executive director. We do have a communication and philanthropic development officer, and we also have program officer with us. That's 3 full-time employee, and we also do have a contractual who's working on a specific project. I will tell you about this project a little later. So next slide, please. Et bonjour aussi aux francophones qui sont ici. I see that there is a lot of francophone in the room, so bonjour. About the outcomes, well, in our strategic development plan, we identified 6 programs, which are to support the volunteers, the wiki clubs and the volunteers. There's a program that is about the francophone population in Canada, knowing that French is a minority language in the country. There's a program about the indigenous knowledges and culture. So there's a lot of indigenous communities across Canada. So we wanted to work with them and for them. We also identified high impact topics. So of course, anything that is gender gap related, LGBT plus community, also that we're trying to work on this project with the community here in Canada. Another program is research and development. So we're trying to see how we could work better. And finally, the last program is that's a collective that we're trying to put in place, the collective for free knowledge. We're trying to work with open knowledge partner across Canada to have conversation about open knowledge. So this is something that I'm going to do in the next few months. So next slide, please. Here I will cheat a little, knowing that this project was in November 2023. So sorry about that, but I think that you'll understand why I wanted to talk about that. Well, we wanted to get back on rail after the pandemic. We felt that there were a little bit of like Wikimedia fatigue, and we decided to organize to be part of the organization of the Wiki Conference North America in Toronto. So we held that conference in November last year with around 250 participants coming from across Canada, but also USA, Mexico, and a few people from the Caribbean. There were more than 50 conferences during this conference. So we felt that after the conference, we felt that there were momentum, and we want to surf on that momentum because there were a lot of Canadian contributors in the same place at the same time, which is not usual. During the event, we organized a lunch time, a break time, but only for Canadians. So we wanted, as the executive director of the chapter here, I wanted to have the chance to talk with these people in person. So, and just like I said, after the conference, we felt that there is a momentum. We want to surf on that momentum. And since then, we feel that there's a revival of wiki clubs across the country. So for those who don't know what a wiki club is, it's an informal group of people working in the same area or region or working on the same subject. So mostly the wiki clubs in Canada are regional wiki clubs. So there's a wiki club in Toronto, for example. The wiki club was inactive in the last 3 or 4 years. And since the conference, well, I think that they already had 3 or 4 meetings since November last year. And we felt that it was something that we had to do to support this wiki club and to make sure that they are getting together to work on any kind of Wikimedia projects. Next slide. I also wanted to share about this project that we organized. It was the second time last March. March is the mois de la contribution francophone, so it's the Francophone contribution month. Every March we organize this activity, which is an editathon around French Canadian literature. So it was the second one that we organized last March, and we are already working on the next one, which will be, of course, in March 2025. The last editathon that we organized in March was about French literature, French Canadian literature, but not only on that, but also on, well, of course, on women and LGBT French literature in Canada. So we wanted to work on this very specific subject, of course, because it was related to both of our programs in our strategic plan, the high impact topics and the Francophone program. We also are going to work on a new project with the National Archives in the province of Quebec, which is the Francophone province of Canada. We are going to work on a new project, which is improving the discoverability of French Canadian literary content through Wikimedia projects. So we do have a lot of micro idea that we want to put together with the idea to, well, once again, to work on the French Canadian literature in Wikipedia mostly, but also in Wikidata. Next slide. This one is a project that I'm very, very proud of. It's a new project. We just got the news that we will get a super nice grant from CIRA. CIRA is a Canadian organization that is working to build on trusted internet for Canadians. They are also those who manage the .ca in the internet. So, and they fund us with 60,000 Canadian dollars. So that's a lot of money to work on an Indigenous project with the Indigenous communities across Canada. We're going to create a toolkit which will be an answer to the young communities, young Indigenous communities across Canada, to help them to recognize disinformation by using the Wikimedia projects. So this is the base of this idea, and we want to also to make podcasts with them. So we're going to work with high school students on disinformation, help them to use Wikipedia to recognize this information, but also help them to learn them how to use Wikipedia to share their own stories and their own truth. We felt that in Canada, there's a lot of disinformation about the Indigenous communities. And we also think that if they take the message in charge, if they share their own sources, well, the message regarding the Indigenous communities in Canada will be, won't be fake, but will be only good information. So that's another project that we have. We are just starting this project now. I was talking a few minutes later that we are working with a contractual, where the contractual will work specifically on this project. Other than that, in the last few months, we worked on Wiki Love Sport. Well, it was the Olympic Games, so we wanted to be part of that. We realized that a lot of Canadian athletes don't have their Wikipedia page, or sometimes they do have the page in French, but they don't have the page in English, or the other way around. So we wanted to participate in that campaign. And we also participate in the Wikidata competition that was organized by Wikimedia Austria. So we had pretty good results in that competition. We finished 9, I think Canada finished 9 globally, and there were Canadian contributors who finished in 7 positions. So that was a pretty good score, I think. Next slide. Oh yeah, the challenge. So next slide. Well, of course, like any, yes, you can go to the next slide. Like any other chapter or user group, we do have a lot of challenge in Canada. I wanted to tell you about the Wiki conference in Francophone that we organized in Quebec City in November. We already had a lot of job with the conference in Toronto, so I guess that it was not enough. We decided to organize also the Wiki conference Francophone, which is in fact a Wiki Franca conference in Quebec City. And we do have a challenge regarding the visa for our participant, knowing that there's a super nice Francophone community in mostly in Africa, but also in IC. And we offer 45 or 50 scholarships to these communities to make sure that they could come in Quebec City to participate in the Wiki conference. But unfortunately, many of them are won't be able to get the visa. We expect to have at least 80 to 85% of refusal, which is a lot of people who won't be able to come in Canada, even if we talked to the authorities before. We offered an invitation letter. We work with the scholarships recipients to make sure that they had all the information they needed to request the visa, but unfortunately, they won't get it. In the last, I would say, 6 months, the Canadian authorities decided that there were too many people who ask for asylum who arrives in the country with a tourism visa, and they decided to cut it down. So almost all the visa application are refused, which is absolutely well, that's very sad. So to make sure that these people can participate in the conference, we will organize everything almost remotely, so everything will be accessible online, and we will also ask these presentators to pre-record their conference, so we will be able to show the conference to the people in Quebec. We know that it's not the best thing, but unfortunately, we have absolutely no control on that, and yeah, that's terrible, but that's how it is. Next slide, please. Another challenge that we have in Canada is that Canada is a very, very big country. Well, that's the second biggest country across the globe in the world after Russia. So this is very, very hard to connect with local users and to create a real sense of community. That's why we decided to hire a program officer, which is based in Western Canada, in Edmonton, to be more specific. We are trying to create this sense of community with this program officer, knowing that she will be able to support the community across Canada, but of course we know also that it's not enough. We are trying to plan to create documentation that we will try to share as much as we can to the people across Canada, contributors, but not only contributors, I also have in mind GLAM institutions, so they can have the knowledge to organize different events, create wiki clubs, apply for funding, stuff like that. Honestly, this is something that we don't really have any control also. Well, to say the truth, we lack of resources to cover all the country. Of course, I mean financial resources, but also human resources. And I don't think that it's something that we will be able to change in the next few years. But we're trying to do our best to make sure that if someone somewhere in Canada needs our help, we are there for them. So yeah, that's another challenge that we have here. Next slide. Concerns. Yeah, you can go to the next one. We realized a few months ago that there is a few problems in the Francophone community in the world in general. We are in discussion with Wikimedia France and Wikimedia Switzerland. I saw also that Natasha is on this call from Les 100 Pages. We also had a discussion with Natasha while we were in Berlin for the Wikimedia Summit and the foundation about the emergence of far-right, I call them the lone wolves. So there's a few far-right contributors who try to manipulate discussions and who try to manipulate articles in the French Wikipedia. And this is something that we are trying to manage because we don't know exactly how. We had a super nice conversation with the foundation and with the Trust and Safety Committee at the foundation. We feel that it's not that they are hard to identify, but it's more that it's more like sometimes that's very subtle and we don't know exactly what to do about that. So we felt that what is happening in the French community could really happen outside the French community in other community across the world, knowing that the far right rise is something that is very global. In the French community, we are going to try to train the administrators, to train the moderators, and also we will try to support and to offer support to maybe contributors who would felt attacked by these people. So this is the first thing that we are going to do. But in the end, I think that we should all have a global reflection and a global conversation on that, because I feel that it might happen in other communities, knowing that we feel that politically, it's the rise of extreme right is maybe not everywhere, but almost everywhere. So I wanted to share that with you today because I feel that it's important. I saw that Natasha react in the chat. Sorry, Natasha, I haven't read what you wrote, but I think that it's important to talk about that and to address this problem in a more global way. Next slide, please. Support and resources. I hesitated. I wanted to put that in concerns, but I feel that sometimes there is so much information everywhere. As an executive director, sometimes there is so much thing I don't know exactly where to look at. I don't want to miss anything, but I'm flooded by all this information, and I feel that sometimes it's difficult to find the information that I need. So I decided to build my own resources library. So you can go to the next slide. I just wanted to share with you two resources that helped me in the last few months. The first one is a guide to help you grow your monthly donors. So since the beginning of the year, we decided to work on the monthly donors. We think that this is a good way to get more money and more funding. So we didn't know exactly where to start, and this guide helped me a lot. I will put the link in the chat after my presentation. And I felt that it was a very good guide that was published by Canada Helps. It's not open, but I felt that it was still interesting, and it gives me a lot of good idea to build a monthly donors campaign. And the other one is that in Canada, we are working a lot with GLAM institution. We do have a lot of projects with GLAM institutions. And I say GLAM, but we also say GLAMU. We had the U for the universities. And we work with them, and we felt that I needed a guide to work with them, and there is this super nice guide that has been published a few weeks ago by Mary Mark Ockerbloom, and same thing, I will put the link in the chat. That's a very interesting guide if you work for with cultural institution. So that's about that. Merci, thank you very much for listening to me. And if you have any question, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Louis. Thank you so much for such an informative presentation, and thank you to all the presenters. My name is Reda. I'm working at the community resources team, representing Middle East and North Africa. So I'm very happy to be joining you all today, and I'll be moderating the Q&A session of this of Let's Connect. So maybe we can go back to the retro board if that makes sense for everybody. And I see, Louis, that you have a couple of questions that have been added to your presentation. So maybe if you'd like to take a moment to look at those questions and maybe respond to one or two of those questions before we open it up to everyone who would like to ask in-person questions as well.
Yeah, just give me a second. I'll take the time to read some of them.
I'll take your time. And I wonder if someone can, I think, Anthony, if someone can share screen so that Louis can also have a look at the questions. Thank you. Perfect. I hope they show now on your.
Yeah, so there's a question about does Wikimedia Canada usually engage in partnership with other global communities? Well, yes, of course. We are working with closely with Wikifranca, which is the Francophone community. Not sure that we can say it's a hub, but we are trying mostly to make that a hub. That's something that we are doing. And I also work closely with the North American community. So I'm part of Narwhal, which is the North American community who's trying to work together and maybe eventually to create a hub. So that's something that we do. We tried also to support a few user groups or chapters in the last few months on very specific projects, but nothing that was, how could I say, major. But honestly, it's not that we didn't want to, it's more that we just didn't have the occasion to do that. So that's the reason why we haven't done anything very specific. So that's what I would like to say about that. Other question?
So we have one question here that says, what advice do you have for other user groups on fundraising from other partners?
Well, that's a good question. Honestly, we're trying to keep our eyes open. So we are doing a lot of research to find what are the funding possibilities in Canada. We are trying also to apply on funding, but only if the funding is very specific to one of our programs, because we feel that if it's related to one of our programs, it's going to be easier for us to defend, to have the best argument, yeah, to get a funding. So that's what happened with CIRA. They were working mostly on disinformation, and we wanted to work with the Indigenous communities across Canada, and we felt that there was something that we could do on this subject with this community, and that's why we decided to present this project, and then we get the funding. We also are trying to get governmental funding, so public funding on a few projects that we have in mind, but for now we are still waiting for answers, so I don't have the answer for that yet.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much, Louis, for responding. And there are so many questions here on the Easy Retro board, as you can all see, but I might take a second to pause just in case anyone has an impromptu question that they'd like to ask live to any of our presenters before we maybe move on to some of the questions on the retro board. So I'll just pause here. If anybody has any questions that they'd like to share, maybe you can raise your hand and I'll pass the mic to you. Okay, maybe we can continue with some of the questions here because we do have quite a few questions. And if anyone has anything they'd like to share live, please feel free to do so and by raising your hand, and we can make time for those in-person questions. But maybe we can go back to Wikimedia Canada. Louis, there was another question also for Wikimedia Canada that was asking, what kind, there was one related to AI. So does Wikimedia Canada have AI projects, for example, on natural language processing? And does Wikimedia Canada work with for-profit organizations?
Regarding AI, no, we don't have any project on that yet. But during the Wiki convention, Francophone in Quebec City in November, in parallel of the convention, we organize specific day on intelligence in artificial intelligence. We're trying to have a few experts coming from the Francophone community to talk about artificial intelligence, mostly related to open knowledge content. So, of course, related to anything that is Wikipedia. But we don't have any specific project yet. There is a very good artificial intelligence expertise in Canada. A lot of universities are working on that, mostly in Montreal. So we are trying to see how we could work on that. First to help the community, but also to understand what is exactly artificial intelligence. So yeah, I think that's the answer to that question.
Thank you, Louis. Thank you very much. And I'd like to also give space for others to share any questions that they might have had for the other presenters today. So, so we have a question from Jean-Paul, who said, re-explain the strategies to find partners and donors in our Wikimedia community projects. I don't want to necessarily put you on the spot here, Jean, but would you like to share what you mean and who you're directing this question to? No. Okay. You're right. Okay. So maybe the question, if maybe if I can rephrase the question. So would you like more information about how you're to find partners and donors that could support Wikimedia community projects? Is that the question? And maybe we can ask all three presenters about this. So maybe if I could redirect it to Toni as well. Would you like to share a little bit more about how you've been thinking about partners and donors to support Wikimedia projects? To find actually. So it's not just supporting. It's
Yes, in our case, we had donors until about 2 or 3 years ago. And in many cases, in most cases, I should say, if not in all cases, these involved public funding through the cultural institutions of Malta. But we are not in a position to seek donors also, and especially because we have one employee employed for 1 day a week, and this kind of work, requires, we think, more professional engagement, really. Otherwise, if it's down to the volunteers, even if they're board members, people move on, there's lack of continuity, and it's done shabbily. In terms of the partners with institutions, partnerships, and things like that, I've actually written stuff about this on the retro board. So in the interest of time, I'll leave whoever's interested in answers to this question to refer to the retro board and give more space to others to speak and perhaps have other questions. I hope that's okay.
Yes, thank you, Toni. No problem. So I'd also like to direct the same question to Wikimedia Morocco, to Mounir, or to Reda. What have been the most impactful ways that you've been able to find and scope partners for your community projects?
Thanks, Farida. So when it comes to donors, similarly to Malta, we're not in position to seek donation as we rely heavily on the grants that we receive from the foundation. And we also have not this legal capacity to ask for donations. So we rely also on our fiscal partner who have multiple partnerships with the national entities and also with other NGOs who assist us as a relay in bringing stakeholders in our activities and projects. So for the strategies or the processes to encourage partners to join projects, actually it depends on the scope. So for example, when it comes to education, the perspective would be to seek support from organization that work specifically with teachers or students and things like that. And for example, with the support of our fiscal partners, these exchanges can be facilitated. So for instance, when once we've dealt with the regional delegation of education in one particular region, and our contact or key contact point was our fiscal partner who has facilitated these exchanges and discussions. And in other instances, sometimes, for example, with contests and with the workshops, it depends on the needs. So for in some cases, we do seek support for organizations who have spaces or who have some kind of a platform that would facilitate for us to organize on-site activities, and we engage with them in discussions to have a more formal collaboration that would also benefit both parties and also can be expanded in the future. So I think I have covered a bit the question that you have been asked, and I can maybe give the floor to Louis, who can specifically address the area of donations and donors as they have been indirect in this area.
Yeah, sorry. Well, regarding donations, we do have now a philanthropic development officer who's working with us, trying to develop a specific donation to Wikimedia Canada. We are a charitable organization, so it means that we can give tax receipts, and this is something that helps us to get the donation because people get a tax receipts when they give money to Wikimedia Canada, and they can declare this donation in their income. So this is something that mostly helps, of course, with individuals, but mostly helps with big organization. Let's say that we ask money from a foundation. in Canada, private foundation, but the fact that we give them a tax receipts, they are more open to hear about us and to hear what we have to say. So this is something that we are mostly working on. And we also work on individual donations. Well, we do have a button on our website where people can go and give money, and we send a newsletter every month, and at the bottom of the newsletter we also have a small button where people can click and give money to directly to us. So this is what we do.
Thank you very much, everyone, for sharing your perspectives on this question. And I think, so as you can see, there are a couple of more questions that are on the retro board. And I think to a large extent, most of them have been answered. But if maybe we have a space for one more response before we wrap up and share reflections. So I'll pause for 1 second, maybe to see if there are any more questions that you want to respond to from any of the presenters, and then we can wrap up for group reflections. All right. Well, since we have, I think we're 4 minutes to time, so maybe one way I think we can wrap it up is to think together and reflect together. So I think one thing that I would love to kind of share with everybody is, as we close, what is the one thing that you learned or that you could use in your work? And this is sort of a question for everybody here, all participants. Maybe you can share it in person if you feel like live, if you feel like you'd like to do that, or possibly over chat. We'd love to hear from all of you on what are things that you feel like you've learned and you can take back with you from the different presentations. And please feel free to share in chat if that's the easiest form for you. And maybe I'll share the question once again. So as we close, what is the one thing that you've learned or that you could use in your work? So we have someone who's sharing, I would love to collaborate on specific issues with each one of the presenter organizations. Yeah, that's a lovely takeaway. We have someone else who says, I learned that Louis is dedicated to the question of fighting harassment to the point of talking about it publicly, and this is motivating. And we have someone who says, even Canada is struggling with capacity. I'll share some more here. I learned about how I can grow my monthly donor. Also, I'm curious to learn more about the Indigenous work. If you can share a link, I think that's to Louis. And how to deal with challenges and mostly the community engagement or capacity, and the issue to deal with donors. Yes, very important. I was inspired by the podcasts. Yes. And how can Let's Connect have one too? Yes, that's reiteration and learning informed the work of Wikipedia and the classroom in Morocco, inspiring reflections. Yes, indeed. All very interesting and great reflections. It goes to show also the depth of work that's being done by the three organizations, and really we greatly appreciate. This is a French one, unfortunately. I'll try to read it. Il y a eu de la diversité d'expériences lors des différentes présentations. Okay, I'll stop there. Okay, maybe Natasha, if you want, you can have a go at that.
Il y a eu de la diversité d'expériences lors des différentes présentations. Il était très intéressant de suivre les retours du Maroc, surtout leurs interactions avec leur communauté. Celle-ci était le socle des résultats. Belle initiative de la part de Let's Connect. There was diversity in the way... it was translated, so that's fine.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we're at time. And I think I'll hand it over to, or I'll just maybe wrap it up and share. Thank you very much to the presenters for taking the time to speak today. I think we can all say that we've learned a lot from the various presenters, and we would, as Bukala wrote in the chat, we would really appreciate your feedback. Please follow the Menti link to share your feedback. We always would like to improve this experience for everyone, and we really hope you enjoyed it. And please feel free to watch the recording to revisit some of the really interesting insights that were shared. Thank you very much, everybody.